Alexander Calder was born in Pennsylvania in 1898. He died in New York on November 11, 1976. He became an artist who was famous for doing sculptures, particularly stabiles and mobiles. Mobiles are big sculptures that have pieces of metal that can move in the wind. You might see one above a baby crib. Stabiles are big sculptures that stay still. One of the early works that got him famous was a series of animated toys called Calder Circus in the late 1920s. They were made from cork, wood, and wire. Alexander was born in 1898. His dad and his grandfather were both sculptors, and his mom was a painter. They were all well-known artists, but Alexander and Peggy turned out to be the best. His wife, Louisa, daughters, Mary and Sandra, and 4 granddaughters all helped inspire his work. Alexander was best friends with Peggy, his sister, who was 2 years older. When they were kids living in Arizona, California, and New York, they made their own toys and games. When Alexander was only 5, he made little wood and wire people and animals. When he was 8, he made jewelry for Peggy's dolls out of little beads and bits of copper and wire that telephone repairmen had left in the streets. When Alexander was 10, Peggy gave him his first pair of pliers. When he became a famous artist, he still made jewelry for his wife, friends, and for Peggy. He decided to be an engineer and studied at Stevens Institute of Technology in New Jersey. He graduated with a degree in engineering. After having lots of jobs in engineering, he decided he wanted to be an artist. So he studied at the Art Students League in New York from 1923 to 1926. He was still an engineer, and that had a big influence in his art. In 1926, Alexander moved to Paris. He enrolled in the Académie de la Grande Chaumerie. When he first got to Paris, a great Dutch painter who lived there, Piet Mondrian, invited him to come and visit his studio. Alexander loved Mondrian's colored rectangles. The red, yellow, and blue have come to be known as Calder's colors. When he saw the rectangles on Mondrian's walls, he said, "Perhaps it would be fun to make the shapes osculate." This was the origin of Calder's mobiles, which he became famous for. While on a boat from Paris to New York, he met his future wife, Louisa James. They got married in 1931. In 1933, they moved to America to raise their family. Sandra was born in 1935, and Mary, who was born in 1939. In 1955, Alexander and Louisa traveled around India for 3 months, where Alexander made 9 sculptures and some jewelry. Alexander had workshops in France and Connecticut. His workshops in Connecticut were so messy everything looked as though it was piled up in a careless mess. But he knew where everything was. He did not like to throw away scraps of metal left over from metal sculptures. He said, "You can always find new ways to use scraps of metal so it isn't scrap anymore." His portrait of a young man is one of his works made from scrap metal. As a child, he had such a big collection of scraps, his mother gave him a chest of drawers to store them in. One of his major works is his Calder Circus. After he saw the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus, he went back almost every day and every night for 2 weeks. The National Police Gazette paid him $20 to draw the circus. Then he started making tiny circus toys. Alexander and Peggy had seen a small circus when they were small, and he decided to put some of the acts he saw and put it in his circus. Over a 5-year period, he kept adding pieces and ended up with 55 figures. This is one of his first and most favorite pieces. Alexander Calder was making tiny sculptures as a child to making big, colorful, and amazing mobiles and stabiles. I think Alexander Calder was an amazing artist. He was known for his mini circus sculptures, his red mobile, which was his favorite color. He made this in 1956. He made lots of other things too, like rugs, tapestries, sculptures of things such as forks. He made wallpaper and even painted an airplane in 1975 called Flying Colors of the United States. He also painted a race car in 1975 called the BMW Calder. I think Calder was an amazing artist, and that's why I chose him for my artist report.